Good evening, my friends. I thought that late this evening, as I'm thinking about things and being very transparent with myself and not wearing any makeup and all of that, was a good time to be really, really honest with you guys about the real secret of recovery. At least one of them. And it's that you are completely and utterly responsible for your own happiness and healing. Completely. You have everything you need within you. No matter what has happened to you, no matter how difficult things are right now for you, if you exist and you have attention, that's all you need. And that's all that's required for you to completely and utterly recover from whatever you're going through and to create a happy life. No one else can do it for you. And you can only be helped as much as you're willing to help yourself in this situation. Because our brains are so sensitive, anything anyone says could be a trigger. If we are on our own side, then we can receive so much help, but otherwise we can't be helped. And the foundation of healing is believing that you are good. That's the foundation of everything. It's just something I thought about a lot recently. A couple of little examples and stories from my own recovery, because that's the material I have to work with. That whatever emotions, whatever thoughts, whatever beliefs that you give power to, that you give meaning to, that you are a garden, that you are watering and intentionally planting, that's what's going to be there. And anything you weed out won't be there. But just like an actual plot of land, it takes a long time for all of that to come to fruition. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not quick. But ultimately, like, there is no such thing as a quick fix. It doesn't exist. And that's the power you have. You have a divine power to shape and create whatever experience you want for yourself in this life, no matter what things have been. I want to highlight that you have the power to create whatever experience you want for yourself, not necessarily exactly the circumstances, but the experience. And the reality is what you want from certain circumstances is the experience anyways. So it doesn't really matter so much what the circumstance is. But a couple of scenarios, and it's just the more that I do this work and work with people and realize how profound this is. Like, it's been my life for so long that I haven't really stepped back and thought about it, but working with others and, actually looking at their situation from the outside and stepping in and saying, here's what to do, really, it hits me in a different way of realizing how radical this path is and how radical it is to choose to recover using neuroplasticity from chronic illness. It's a big thing to do. And a couple of the things that really looking back, I see so clearly now were so impactful in determining where I've come to and how happy and fulfilled I am now. Like, a couple situations. One, I had 4 relapses trying to get back to parenting. That was a goal. I was trying so hard to get that outcome. Being attached to outcomes is a surefire way to be miserable and stuck, guaranteed, even if whatever the outcome is, whether it's recovery or getting rid of a certain symptom or something, literally, and it doesn't matter. There's a general rule. If you're attached to an outcome, you're going to be stuck and miserable, guaranteed. And for me, that was being able to be a good mother. And I was trying to prove that I was good enough. I was trying to prove that I was a good person and that I cared about them because I was in a relationship with someone who had convinced me that my illness and my recovery meant that I didn't care about my kids and I was a piece of shit. So I kept trying to prove that. I cared about them, obviously. Like, I wanted to be there, and I just kept trying to make it happen. And I kept relapsing because I couldn't, I'd go back to full-time parenting 5 kids after barely reaching a baseline of calm. It didn't work. And I could have allowed that to reinforce this belief I had that just meant that I was a worthless piece of shit and a bad mother, and I was never going to be able to parent my kids, and that I was going to lose them. I had profound fears around all of that the whole time I was doing it, which is why that drove me for most of my recovery into all those relapses. And instead, I reached a point where I let that situation mean that my innate, and for me, my relationship with God has been absolutely core to my journey. So I brought it to God, and I was like, how the hell is this part of a benevolent God's plan? I had a lot of struggle with believing God was benevolent, given what I was going through. It's like, why would you make me not able to care for my own children? Like, how could you let this happen? How could you possibly exist or be good if this is happening? WTF, God, how is this a thing? And the answer I got, or the reality that I came to, was that I am so good at my core and so worthy of love that even if I did fail, even if I had lost my kids, even if I had failed at recovering in some way where I got to keep custody of them, even if it had taken so long that I just lost all legal power and all power to have them, my happiness and my well-being, my life still had infinite value. And I was still worthy of being happy, and I was still worthy of recovering, even if it was just for me, even if my kids had to recover from me and I never was able to have a relationship, or even if the worst outcome happened, I was still worthy of recovery and happiness and my own wholeness. And I was still good. And it's been the same thing with recovering from the relationship, where I could have let, I was 3 years of PTSD after getting out, just escaping the situation. 3 years I lost like 3 years of my life to just, in a sense, recovering from that. Like being in PTSD is like being on another planet. It's so intense. I didn't even know I was there for so much of the time. It was so hardcore, and I was being gaslit. So I was gaslighting myself about whether or not I was really PTSD or whether I was really just a piece of shit human being who was weak and failing. Like that was how it felt most of the time. And I just felt like I was being eaten by this PTSD monster and all the fear, trying to escape from it and just round and around and lost in it. And I reached a point where I was like, all right, well, either I can allow it to mean that, mean and abusive people are scary and I'm powerless, and let that just keep me stuck in this tiny little bubble of never speaking and never expressing joy and never being myself. Or I could say, no, it means that those people have no power because I'm not giving it to them, because this is my life. And I can either be scared of that or realize, like, people being mean and nasty and abusive, like, I can remove myself. I've proven to myself that I have the power to create a life where I'm financially and legally independent. And I'm good. My happiness is the point. And if people want to be mean and nasty, they can. I don't have to pay any attention to it. I don't have to take it personally. It doesn't mean anything about me. I don't need to let it have any space in my life. I can let it make those people have no relevance and no importance in my life, as they shouldn't. And focus on my happiness even more, and focus on my purpose and fulfillment and joy. And recently I've been getting lost in the sauce of just being attached to outcomes, all these different things that I want so badly to happen because they're in my heart and it's what I want. And it's like, this is why and it's like, no. Love is the point. Love is the point. So that's been the recurring loop in my mind the whole evening, is just, I know this is where it all started. I don't need to wait for anything else to happen to remember that, but I just wanted to share all of that with you guys, because love is the point. This moment, your joy, even if it doesn't look the way you wanted it to, or doesn't look the way you think it should, your happiness and your wholeness are more important and real than any circumstance you're in. And you're worthy of having better circumstances. And when you make your happiness and living from wholeness the priority, your circumstances will bend and change to reflect your inner state. Your outer world is just an expression of your inner state. But this moment is the whole point. This one. This really ordinary moment with this gray wall. It's the whole point. This one, wherever you are. Because you're the point. You're it. You've got this. And I love you.